Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 34 of Spotlight on Success 2025. Today, we're talking about Copilot Leadership, turning AI into a trustworthy force multiplier without losing your humanity. We're going to get practical today about AI copilots at work, not as shiny toys, but as force multipliers for clarity, speed, and resilience. We're going to move from trying tools to designing how humans and AI work together. We're building directly on the last 3 weeks worth of SOS, decision velocity, legacy leverage, and resilient leadership. And we're going to stitch those together into Copilot Leadership, where we talk about clear roles, guardrails, and feedback loops that make AI amplify people, not replace them. So why copilots and why now? Because the winners aren't the ones with the most apps. They're the ones who decide faster, package expertise, and stay shock absorbent under stress. That starts with the decision habit. So we can use a 3-option framework for big choices. First of all, is it a bold move? Is it a safe move? And what's the cost of standing still? Then we can commit to a decision window that we want to make and decide our next step on. So we run the loop, decide, act, debrief, and repeat. This is how we turn decision-making from stress into strengths. Copilots accelerate this when we point them at the right work and keep humans on the hook for judgment. So where would a first pass draft or option set shave 30 to 60 minutes or more off of your day or week? So play number 1 that we need to be thinking about as we move to Copilot Leadership, defining the mission and not the magic. Copilots do not need poetry. They need purpose. So tell your copilot what outcome you want and what constraints matter the most, because clarity to your copilot beats cleverness hands down. Use a 1-page decision canvas like we talked about in prior sessions to map options, outcomes, ripple effects, and alignment. 15 minutes to clear the fog. So if you had to decide in the next 10 minutes, what would you choose and why? We're not feeding prompts to our AI copilot. At this stage, we're framing missions. The tool drafts our options or opportunities, and the leader ultimately decides. Play number 2, we define what's in the green, yellow, and no-fly zones. So we give our AI copilot and our team a very simple set of rules or a map. The green zone is drafting, summarizing options, first pass analysis. Copilot A-OK, completely autonomous in this realm. Yellow zone, recommendations that contain dollars or risks, and ultimately the weighting of those types of decisions we put into the Copilot plus human review stack. And then in the no-fly zone area would be things such as ethics, legal, safety, and people ops, right? While we can feed our rule set and our policies and our laws into our AI copilot and ask for their advice, ultimately We need to take the output and we need to justify it with our human-only decisioning with evidence to back that up. So the AI Copilot definitely can help you work through the complexity in all of those areas. It can be your operations research optimizer for your people operations. It can highlight what's the likely ethical issues, legal issues, safety issues, and help fill capability gaps across multiple parts of your organization. But in these areas, and especially from a corporate governance, IT governance, a risk management standpoint, that human must be making the decisions and codifying them with justification and evidence. Why? Because resilience requires distributed decisions within clear boundaries. And AI can bring both leverage, right? We're optimizing our life cycles, we're optimizing its speed, we're harnessing it for synthesis and to identify major points and gap analysis. But in doing so, we open our organizations and our teams up to new risks, shadow tools, inherent biases, adversarial attacks. So we must prepare and we must formulate a method forward so we don't panic if something goes awry. And that's through great governance, heightened training, and deep explainability. So what's one no-fly decision that your org needs to make explicit, not have that be assumed by your AI co-pilot or your team? Play 3, turn expertise into reusable prompts. This is called legacy leverage, because your experience is not just your story. It's a toolkit that others can use. You can inventory your proven frameworks. You can package them into templates or toolkits. You can multiply them through communities or certifications, and you can protect them as you would any other form of intellectual property, because that's what it is. How does this look like from a Copilot library perspective? Well, you can template the ask. You could draft a one-page risk brief, threat, impact, options. What would be a bold move? What would be a safe move? What would be a stay current state? What could be a next step? So it could mirror our 3-option pattern. How could we tag our use cases? Use for red projects, use for executive updates, use for teaming. We could add a checker, right? A confidence builder. So return with confidence label. What are additional sources we need to review for our justification and our decisioning purposes? We can license internally. We can keep a shared library so that everyone can pull our best thinking on demand. So the outcome is we move from mentorship with regard to co-piloting AI, decisioning, executive breadth and scope and depth, to multiplication, right? Because when we can capture the core thinking of our executives, and the DNA of our organization, and the rule sets and core values and our strategic framework, we can impact and scale without multiplying our workload. We just offload that to our AI co-pilot and help it optimize our operational efficiencies. So what's one workflow perhaps you can put into template form this week or pilot? Is it a status brief? Is it a proposal outline? Is it a template for a customer response? Is it some other kind of operational meeting or decision framework or growth project or initiative that would really help you all move the needle forward? Play 4, the 15x5 decision sprint. So what do we need to do to be more efficient and effective and productive is oftentimes we look to time boxing decision so that the team never stalls out. They lose that analysis paralysis mud hole that sometimes teams and organizations fall into, and they do it in this manner. For 15 minutes, the co-pilot gets to draft 3 options, a bold option, a safe option, a do nothing, with corresponding risks and trade-offs. For 5 minutes, the humans then get to choose and set up the next step. It may be that we don't have enough information and we need to get a little more information, or we need to retry our prompts and our criteria to get a deeper level decision that we can then ultimately resource and act upon. We want to pair this with the decision pod, 2 to 3 trusted voices to give us a more in-depth analysis of what we're proposing and a solid timeline boundary. We have 48 hours with which to contemplate our decision paths forward. After that, we move forward. Then we can debrief fast and keep rolling. So decide, act, debrief, repeat. In case of a tie end, we can offer a roadmap. There is a special initiative that an organization took on, and it was when a roadmap that they were proposing was upended by privacy changes. So they had a 72-hour sprint, a very small cell of people, daily stand-ups, time box decisions, and a full set of communications by day 3. That ultimately won or re-won market trust and fast. So it too can help you mitigate issues when you're trying to pilot and implement and field something, so that not only do you remediate the risks that occurred, but you ultimately spring forward and gain greater market trust through the visibility and the communications mechanisms that you use. Play number 5, failure containment, so that you can bounce forward. Assume that there's going to be errors. You can build learning loops in and drills with your team so that mistakes turn into fuel and not fear. Run simulations, leadership transitions, supply shocks, AI system failures, so that you can find gaps before they find you. Again, no single points of failure, and given that 360 holistic look through your trusted voice or your trusted decision cells helps you find out the risks and mitigate them early on in the process. So how can you strengthen core systems? We want to focus on redundancy because it helps overcome fragility. We want to empower decisions closer to the problem and rehearse recovery, because ultimately that's resiliency by design. So what drill could you run in the next 2 weeks that would make your team measurably calmer, stress-free, reduce risk, and quicker at this whole scenario? So let's look at a mini case study, a 30-day co-pilot roll-in. Our context is a regional PMO pilots meeting and brief co-pilots in 2 work streams. Week 1, they go only for the green only initiatives, status drafts, risk logs, option sets. Week 2 and 3, they go into the yellow area, scenario recommendations with human sign off. They add a confidence level label, and sources. And then week 4, they hold a retrospective. They keep what worked, retire the noise, and they tighten their guardrails. So what changed with that organization? Well, preparation time down considerably, decision clarity up considerably, and far fewer memory losses, organizational memory loss of what did we decide and why. So we heighten our governance, we heighten our productivity, we heighten our efficiency, and hopefully we heighten our ROI from ultimately what we're going to do with those decisions. Managers shifted from copy editing to sense making. And teams, well, they were able to make more decisions without bottlenecking at the top. So if we anchor this back to week 31 and 33, we look at sprinting decisions now with an enhanced structure, resiliency, as well as disciplined flexibility. So we're going to move to your 7-day challenge. Pick one workflow: status, proposal outline, customer reply. Green zone it with your Copilot for 1 week and measure 2 things: the minutes saved and the rework avoided. Save the winning prompt to your library and tag a peer to adopt it. Want a very spicy variation? Use 3 option matrix on a real decision and commit to deciding within 48 hours. Post your progress with the hashtag Spotlight on Success. Borrow week 32's action flow. Map 5 strengths, package 1, pilot it, refine, and scale. So our reflection for today is, where would a Copilot remove friction without raising risk in your organization? What no-fly boundaries do you need to state explicitly and incorporate into your Copilot AI tool this week? Which piece of expertise becomes a reusable prompt by next Friday? And what single metric will prove that it made you faster and clearer, i.e. your time to decision greatly enhanced? So in closing, leaders who thrive decide fast, learn faster, and lead forward. Copilot leadership doesn't replace people, it amplifies them. That's how you win this year and build something that lasts. So post your week 34 Copilot use case again. Tag it with hashtag Spotlight on Success. And most of all, what it's freed you up to do that's greater than you're able to do before. And then tag someone else who might need this playbook. Says Dr. Rhonda Farrell, your success strategist, the CEO of Global Innovation Strategies, signing off from week 34 of Spotlight on Success, Copilot Leadership, turning AI into a trustworthy force multiplier without losing your humanity.